Okay, so the breaking news of today is it looks like, well, assuming a medical anyway, Leon Bailey of Bayer Leverkusen looks like set to join Aston Villa, who we assume will be the Jack Grealish replacement. I think this is really good business by Aston Villa. Leon Bailey's a player who he had a bit of a down year 2 years ago, but he's had a real breakthrough year a couple of years back, and then this season he's pretty consistent whenever he played for Leverkusen. And look, I'm not saying he doesn't have flaws in any areas, but all his numbers are really promising, and he's a really good dribbler. He's really direct, a bit wasteful on the ball. He's probably not the creative hub that Jack Grealish is, but I think that's okay. I think they've replaced that with Buendia, and I think Buendia will kind of be more of a like for like Grealish replacement. Leon Bailey will just add a bit extra, right? It'll add a bit more firepower, which I know El Ghazi and Bertrand Traore and Trezeguet do. They do finish things, but they're very limited footballers. Leon Bailey offers a lot more. He's a more rounded footballer. He's a more experienced footballer, even though he's younger. And I'm amazed they've got him, honestly. I thought he'd be destined for a top four club in the next few years. All his underlying numbers suggest that he's going to be at that level. And the big weaknesses of him is he's probably a bit wasteful on the ball, but I think that can be explained by, Leverkusen's system. And then he's not really a great defender, but I don't think that really matters. And something like having low pressures is something that can be coached, right? And look, losing Jack Grealish is obviously a blow, but I don't think Jack Grealish is as good as people say he is. I think this is really good business by Aston Villa, getting 100 million for Jack Grealish and spending, 30 million on Leon Bailey. And obviously, I remember talking about Emi Buendia when that happened, like, a month ago now. By the way, subscribe to the channel, because why not? Like the video. But I think this is really sensible business. Sometimes you have a player who's really inflated in value, and he's about to turn 26 in a few days. This just makes sense. Villa are never going to get more than 100 million for Jack Grealish. They're a club that have had some issues with FFP. This just makes sense. Sell Jack Grealish, reinvest it in the squad properly. This Aston Villa squad does look good going into next season. I still think there are some areas they can improve. I still don't really rate Douglas Luiz. I think he's pretty limited DM, and I don't really know how Morgan Santon's going to kick on next season. But a front three with obviously Trezeguet and Bertrand Traore, as backups, so Buendia, Leon Bailey, and Ollie Watkins. It's an amazing front three. It really is. I still think, and the good thing about this as well is even if they do lose Jack Grealish, sure, but it makes them less predictable. Because a lot of the time it was Jack Grealish on the left wing, everything went through him, and it kind of got a bit predictable. Adding Buendia and Leon Bailey, it gives them more options. It allows them to be a better coherent unit. Plus, it secures the financial status of the club for a long time to come. Villa were a pretty decent side last season with Jack Grealish. If you look at the Premier League table, finished 11th. Expected points had them 9th. But that doesn't... Even if Jack Grealish is a world-class player that people say he is, they couldn't get top 6 with him anyway. So they might as well just sell him and reinvest. He's not that good. And this is just sensible business by whoever. I don't know who Villa's director of football is, but this just makes sense. You're getting two players who, for me, have the potential to get to Jack Grealish's level. They're both younger than Jack Grealish, and they've paid 65 million for both of them combined. Obviously, Ashley Young's come in as well. Don't really care. I think he'll just be a squad player. I still think they probably need another fullback. I like Matt Targett. I think Matty Cash is someone that's probably been not held back, but all his defensive numbers were really high last season, but none of his attacking numbers were. And I assume Ashley Young will be the backup right back, and I think they could probably use a bit of the money for left backs. They'll still have, a transfer budget they had in mind, plus that Jack Grealish spare money. Maybe someone like Anthony Robinson from Fulham would be a pretty good left back for them to rotate Matt Targett. Really good defensive numbers, pretty good dribbler. Would make sense for them. But for me, this is just Aston Villa doing sensible business. And obviously they've already spent some of that money on Morgan Sanson as well, who's... I don't really know what Morgan Sanson is. That he hasn't played enough to be able to judge him, but I'm sure Aston Villa have a plan in mind for him. And another thing about Jack Grealish as well is I feel like he's not as versatile as people say he is. I think Jack Grealish is a very specialist left winger. If you look at where he played last season, mainly attacking midfield or left wing, but when he was left wing, he was so much more impactful. And I feel like he is an out-and-out left winger, Jack Grealish. He's not really an attacking midfielder. Whereas, Leon Bailey played all over the gaff last season. He played in so many different positions for someone so young in a good league in the Bundesliga. This just makes sense. This is just Villa doing sensible business. They've got someone that's more versatile, a bit younger, for a cheaper price, on top of Emi Buendia, and spare money. They've got two players who, for me, combined, are way better than Jack Grealish. If you put them together, and obviously it's two players, right? So if one gets injured, you've still got a guy. unlike when Jack Grealish got injured last season. And you've still got spare money to go and maybe get a left back, or maybe improve defensive midfield, or maybe get some centre back depth. And they've still got, probably, a world class goalkeeper. In terms of post shot expected goals, I mean, Martinez was the second best goalkeeper in the Premier League last season behind Alphonse Areola. This Villa squad's going in the right direction. It's being built properly. And I know it's hard to lose your key player, but all you can ask of a club is to be financially stable, and when they do sell a player, replace them properly. And that's what Aston Villa have done, and they're building in the right way. And I still think they need one or two more, probably a back at left back and a DM. But if they do that, there's no reason why Villa can't push top six. That front line is better than most front lines in the Premier League. It's got a good mix. Ollie Watkins is such an underrated footballer. He's an amazing footballer. He should have got in the England squad. Bailey might not adapt, who knows, but I think he will. And Emi Buendia is a pretty safe pickup. It's just good business by Aston Villa. And you see this narrative on TalkSport of people trying to push like this will ruin Aston Villa, Jack Grealish leaving. I don't think it will. I think this will be a catalyst for them, very much in the way Coutinho was for Liverpool, in the sense that Coutinho was a good player, but nowhere near as good as people thought he was, and they got an overinflated fee. That's what Aston Villa are doing with Jack Grealish. It might annoy the fans, but it's the right decision for the long-term future of Aston Villa Football Club, in my opinion. But if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel for more Premier League content, like the video, and subscribe, and yeah, peace.